What is happening, guys? Cody Plays here, bringing you another Yugioh Master Duel video. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the new ban list. So, I was pleasantly surprised to wake up this morning to news that we had a ban list. And I was like, okay, that's awesome, let's check it out. And lo and behold, the ban list I'm about to show you is the ban list that we got. I'm personally very disappointed by this. But it seems like overall the community, from what I've seen, seems very positive about this ban list, so I think that's a good thing. As long as the people are happy about it, I mean, like, obviously that's a good thing. I think it falls short, and I'll tell you why, but I'll also say, like, the pros of this stuff. So, going over the basics really quickly, this is going to be implemented on the 28th. I love that. I said this in the last ban list update video. Like, the rollover time, the kind of the dead zone between ban lists getting announced and implementation is way too long. And it really makes the ladder play seem weird during that time, or kind of obsolete during that time. So I like the fact that they're implementing this way sooner. We have less than a week until this gets implemented, and I think that's, like, wonderful. Bravo, Konami. Jumping right on into the actual, buffs/nerfs, we have Gen X Ally Birdman going from 2 to 3. So I'm sure this is probably not the first of these ban list reaction videos you're watching. Everyone really has the same reaction to this, and it's like, okay, yay, this is not going to do anything, like, ooh, cool. And I kind of agree with that sentiment. I think Birdman is actually a very good card. I mean, I played TCG back in, like, I don't remember the exact years, but just for argument's sake, like 08 to like 2013, give or take. On both ends. I don't remember exactly. I was really little during that time. And I also played, like, really, like way back in the early 2000s, like when I was, like, really little, like when I was, like, 5 years old. Like, I just, like, played with the cards. I didn't actually play, like, TCG or anything like that. But back in my day, this card was broken. This card abused. I was looking at Fountain for, that's a little bit spoilers, but I was looking at that a second ago. Birdman was abused with cards like Gallus the Star Beast and, I think I'm spelling this right, Quackimiru Doom, and all these different things to do what is known as the Gallus, like, FTK. It's basically a 40 card deck that was all monsters, and it's just abused Gallus and, like, burned your opponent. That was obviously, like, really cool. Like, it was like a cool, like, FTK combo deck that was really easily interruptible. Like, it's not like it was some, like, OP oppressive deck, but, like, it was, like, an interesting deck. You don't see stuff like that anymore with, like, this card because, well, like, it's just not very good, to be honest with you. Like, with all the hand traps and with all this different stuff in, like, modern Yu-Gi-Oh, it's just not very good. So this card, for whatever reason, hasn't really seemed to age well. But I think this card could be broken. And I think someone could potentially find a way to break this card. But, like, will someone actually do that? I don't know. Only time will tell. The next thing is Thunder Dragon Roar going from 2 to 3. Everyone seems to be really hyped about this, and I'm excited that it's going from 2 to 3. I don't think it should have been limited to 2 in the first place, because this deck it's got a lot of problems, and I will address some of those really quickly. This deck feels incomplete, and I know at one point in history, Thunder Dragon was a very, very, competent, top tier strategy. That was a long time ago. I'm saying a long time ago in the sense of Yu-Gi-Oh, long time ago. It's not like that anymore. If we had 3 Thunder Dragon Hawks, 3 Thunder Dragon Colossus, this deck might make the tier list. Maybe. But it's not top tier. It's not the best deck in the game. It's at, I think it's peak tier 2. This deck feels incomplete in the sense that it just feels like there's something missing from this archetype. And I don't know what it is. Because it felt complete in the past, but it just doesn't feel complete now in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Like current modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's a shame to me, because I love Thunder Dragons. I think the Thunder Dragon cards are some of the coolest cards, like, ever printed. Like, these cards are absolutely awesome to me. But, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I'm wrong. And hopefully Roar's back at 3. Hopefully we start seeing this deck played more, and hopefully we see it actually have some success. Maybe Konami realizes it's not, like, a very oppressive, strong deck, and they start to give us some other unlimiteds. Like, I would love to see Colossus at 2. Like, if we had 2 Colossus, like, I think this deck would be, like, tremendously, like, better. I don't think it would be, like, top tier, like I said before, but I think it would be a way, way, way better. Because you can just, like, play, like, you know, this deck can already play infinitely, which is one of, like, the best things about this deck. This deck can literally play forever. Like, it can just infinitely grind. But I think having a second Colossus could be really cool, too. I don't know if 2 Colossus even, like, fixes the problems. But anyways, that's my semi, quote-unquote, rant about Thunder Dragons. I think this is cool, but I don't think it's going to change all that much. But maybe it makes us play it more. The next card, spoiler alert, I didn't mean to, like, actually show this quite yet, but it just popped up, is Harpoor going from 2 to 3. I hate to be like this, but this is another buff I'm a little pessimistic about. I've been saying this for a while, since Orcust has been getting slowly but surely buffed over the past couple months. Harpoor being semi-limited, limited, whatever it was limited first, then it went semi-limited, now it's unlimited. This is not what we need. It's not. Put Harpoor back at 1. I don't care. Give us 3 Galatea. Give us 3 Girsu. This deck's not going to be top tier, even with that. But it's going to be competent. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be some semi-relevant, I think. I hope. But really, is it? Because Protoss is in the game? But, right, whatever. Harpoor, coming back to, like, this is, like, this card is infinitely searchable in this deck. So, like, this card going to 3 doesn't actually change the consistency of this deck, I don't think. I don't think it changes the power level of this deck. I don't really think it changes anything. I just think it looks nice. I think it's a kind of a PR move, in a sense, by Konami saying, like, hey, we are just, like, moving this to 2 to see if anyone did anything with it, but really, like, it should be at 3. Right? But that's just my, like, super pessimistic opinion about this kind of stuff. Let me know, like, if you, like, disagree. Like, maybe, like, I'm not, like, I love Orcust. I know Orcust pretty well. I've played Orcust. Not competitively, but casually in the past. I don't think it's good enough to play competitively. That's why I haven't done it. So I'm not like a Orcust expert, but I don't think that's going to do anything. And if someone is an Orcust expert, let me know in the comment section below why I'm wrong or why I'm right. Moving on to the semi-limits, I'm going to talk about 3 of them together. That is Runick Destruction, Freezing Curses, and Slumber. Am I happy they hit the Runick cards? Yes, I am. Am I happy with their choices for Runick cards to hit? Not completely, but kind of. What I wanted to see hit was what everybody wanted to see hit, was found. This card should probably be limited to 1. But it being a UR makes it so it's probably less likely that it's going to get hit by Konami. Totally understandable. And also, I will say this, I've been applauding Konami for a very long time in Master Duel for semi-limiting. I think the use of the semi-limit list, I think it's underused in TCG, and I think it's used very efficiently in the OCG. Not to say the OCG is better than TCG or vice versa, because I think the OCG does some stuff good, they do some stuff bad, they do some stuff okay. I think the TCG is the same thing. Some stuff really good, some stuff really bad, some stuff okay. Master Duel, same thing. But clearly, Master Duel is completely adopting this like semi-limit, mentality that the OCG has. And okay, semi-limit stuff, hurt consistency, slap on the wrist, so on and so forth. Where TCG doesn't really do that. Cards in the TCG that are on the semi-limit list are like Malicious, which a card like that should be on the semi-limited list. But in their argument, in their view, in the TCG's view, really nothing else should, right? Other cards like Mali should be on the semi-limit list, but other cards shouldn't be. Or the OCG in Master Duel adopts the personality, the opinion that the semi-limit list is a very good way of slapping stuff on the wrist, and I'm cool with that. But I don't think every archetype or every situation is created equal, and you can't treat every situation the same. A deck like Runick, putting stuff semi-limited doesn't make any sense because the entire deck is searchable by almost the entire deck. So every single Runick card can get you to Hugin, and Hugin can get you to Fountain, which can then in turn get you basically infinite more Runick spells. So, and then Tip literally gets you any Runick card. So like this entire deck is searchable by itself. Like it searches itself just constantly. So semi-limiting these cards doesn't really seem to do very much. Really limiting these cards doesn't really seem to do very much if they're recyclable. Okay, that's also a fair argument. And I think it's definitely an argument that you could make. So the question I guess would be like, why do you think semi-limiting Fountain would be the answer? Well, because if Fountain gets outed by like a Cosmic Cyclone, it's never coming back into the game. If it gets outed by a Runick Destruction, they have to go into Gary to get it back, which is disruptible. They can't just search another one from their deck, which is also disruptible, but they could also just draw into another one from their deck, so on and so forth. So I do think that hitting this card was correct, but they're not going to do that because it's a UR, which is unfortunate. So instead they decided not to hit Tip, which I knew they weren't going to hit this card, but they probably should have as well. These two cards are the ones that are the problems, but whatever. They decided to hit these. Freezing Curse is getting hit. I would say this is the third most important card in the deck to get hit. I think this should have been first, this should have been second, this should have been third. I'm 100% cool with that. This is just it's an effect veiler. It's an imperm. Right? I mean, this is a wonderful card. The next one I think should have probably been hit is something like Flashing Fire. Or Slumber. I would say these two are probably tied. Because Slumber getting hit, I think this is actually a good hit. Because Slumber is a very good card. Flashing Fire, obviously this is like a very good form of disruption. Pops a monster, so on and so forth. I think you could have either hit Slumber or Flashing Fire as your next hit. They went with Slumber. I'm cool with that. The reason I think Slumber is a really good hit is because this card is the best Runick card going first if you have a monster in the extra monster zone. So, if your opponent has nothing on the field or they're not drawing cards or anything like that, this is the best card to have if you already have something in the extra monster zone. So, Slumber, really good utility card. They're playing it at 2 to 3 anyways. They're going to be playing it at 2 now. It is what it is. Destruction. This is like one of the last ones that I would have hit, because I think this is counterintuitive to what they're trying to accomplish here. They're trying to make Runick worse, and clearly they're not trying to hit Runick Sprite. They're trying to hit pure Runick, which I find problematic because Runick Sprite absolutely dominates pure Runick, and pure Runick is like falling off completely on the tier list and in tournaments, and within the next week, 2 weeks, even without this list, this ban list, it would have almost fallen off completely. Because it is just a completely losing matchup for pure Runick versus Runick Sprite. If you haven't played the matchup, go play the matchup, and like I think you'll understand what I'm saying. Like it's just almost unwinnable for pure Runick. So nerfing Destruction buffs other Runicks, because now you have one less out to their problematic Fountain, which everybody, I think, can and should acknowledge is the best card in the deck. Hitting this takes, like if I'm playing Runick Sprite against another Runick Sprite player, if I'm going second, I am in a losing position, just by default, unless I open Maxi or something. And they establish Runick Fountain. I need to see my Runick Destruction or like a Cosmic Cyclone to have a chance of winning that game. Almost always. Like 90% of the time, I need to see one of those cards to have a chance of winning. Not 100% of the time, but most situations I do. Taking this away just makes the other person's Runick deck better. So I think this was problematic, and I know why they hit this. They hit it because it's a generic back row removal that banishes top 4 cards of your deck. It banishes a lot of cards. 4 cards is a lot. 100% agree with that. But what? Like, that's a problem with... That's... By that logic, just ban this frickin' thing. Like, just limit this thing, because this is what allows you to play on your opponent's turn in the first place. But I don't know. Like, I'm kind of rambling now, because I feel like you guys... I hope you guys get my point with this. But I think this just buffs going first Runick in the mirror match, because like I was recording, the last thing I'll say on this is I was recording the meta report for this past week. Prior to this, I was recording that yesterday, and it was going to get uploaded today. I think I'll probably still upload it today, even though like it's a completely different format now with this band list. But I think I'll still upload it anyways. Like, it was just one after another, like Runick Sprite, Runick Sprite, Runick Sprite, Runick Sprite, Runick Sprite. Oh, Pure Sprite, cool. Okay, Runick Sprite, Runick Sprite, Runick Sprite. It's all Runick Sprite, guys. Like, it's ridiculous how many Runick Sprites there are. Like, in like top 8 Runick Sprite, there was like 9 top 8 Runick Sprite decks over the course of like 4 or 5 tournaments last week. Insane. And that's just like top 8. But I just thought it was ridiculous. If you're playing the mirror match, which is still going to be the most popular deck because this does not hit Runick Sprite. Like this, I will talk about that in a second, but this does not hit Runick Sprite at all. Not really. You're just going to still be running into boards that are, Elf, Masquerena, Carrot, or Red, and Fountain. And now that you don't have a Freezing Curses or a Runick Destruction to, play into that, one less of each, I guess I just said it's not going to change the deck at all. It will change the deck slightly. It'll make the deck worse going second. But it's not going to change the deck going first, I don't think. But it's just going to make your job harder playing into that board. It's just going to make it even more hard to play into that board, which is already almost impossible to play in just to begin with. So, I really despise this hit. I think this was a completely counterintuitive hit to the deck, whereas the Freezing Curses and the Slumber make some sense, but not as much sense as hitting Tip or Fountain. Or honestly, this might be kind of crazy. Even Hugin, but they were never going to hit this card. But I think they could have, but they were never going to. I think these 3 cards should have been hit over these, but I think these are fine hits. The Slumber and the Freezing Curses. So anyways, moving on to the next thing. Sorry about rambling so much. Oh, actually, really quickly, before we move on, I don't know if you guys want me to do this or not. I'm just going to show you guys something really quickly. Runick Sprite. Okay, what's going to change in this? They're still going to play 15 to 17 Runick spells. They're just going to decrease the card count of this, and this by 1 each. So they're going to have to replace 3 Runick spells. They're going to add in 1 Smithing, 1 Dispelling, and maybe a Runick Droplet, or maybe just not add anything else. Because some people were only playing 2 of this anyways. So the count's going to be 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 at the minimum. The consistency of this deck's not going to change. Yes, you have worse utility Runick spells, but you still have the full, complete package here. It's not going to change this deck pretty much at all, in my opinion. The deck that is going to get changed is Pure Runick, and we'll talk about that in a minute. The next limit to semi-limit, so this is getting a buff, is Fusion Destiny. I think this is great, because with Celestial being banned, DPE is not a problem. DPE is an accessory to an end board and not an end board in and of itself. It really was never an end board in and of itself, unless it was, it was more an end board in and of itself when Celestial was there, because then you could just draw 2 cards on your next turn, which is like, Pot of Greed's a good card, so that's really good. But DPE without Celestial is proving to be really not worth it. You're playing 2 bricks for a very good card, but not a oppressive, game-breaking card. DPE with Scythe is still a problem. Yes, this might promote that a little bit more. That's unfortunate, but that's more of a problem with Scythe than DPE, so just ban Scythe. But, spoiler alert, they didn't ban Scythe. So yeah, I think this is a good hit, a good buff. And I think this will probably come to 3 in the near future, because I don't really think it needs to be at 2, but we'll see. The only card getting limited on this list, no bans in this list, the only card getting limited is Amano Awato. I like it. I think it should be banned, but whatever. But it going to 1 is better than it going to than nothing happening to it. I think a card like this should never have been printed. It is a very oppressive card, and it's a very toxic card. Really nothing else to say other than that. Problem with it being limited to 1 is it doesn't really change the consistency of drawing it. A lot of people are playing it 2, more people are playing it at 3. I'll admit that. So that's going to get hurt, but this deck has so much draw power. It plays Upstart Goblins usually. It plays Pot of... Sorry about the alarm. I would say I'll edit that out, but I'm lazy. So they play Upstart Goblins. They play Pot of Duality. They play One Day Apiece. Play Card of Demise. Play Pot of Desires. Play Runick Fountain that draws 3 every single turn. This guy's playing 44 cards? What the heck? I don't mean to critique this guy's deck list, but why are you playing 44 cards with 3 Upstart Goblins? That makes no sense. Okay, whatever. I'm not going to look at that anymore. That's giving me anxiety. But anyways, I digress. This deck plays infinite draw power. They're still going to draw their Mono Awado. Like, don't fear that. And they're still going to draw their rainbow thingy. Like the 5 rainbow pendulum card. That's incredibly toxic. This thing. Like, they're still going to draw these cards. They're still going to draw their skill drain. They're still going to draw all this stuff. They're still going to piss you off. I mean, this deck's going to get hurt a lot more now that it's got a bunch of semi-limits on it, because these semi-limits actually hurt this deck because they already played a lot of the other crappy ones. So they don't want to add like too many more of these compared to Runick Sprite. But overall, this deck is still going to be alive. Still going to be toxic, but not very good because this deck just loses outright to pure Runick, or not pure Sprite, but Runick Sprite. So anyways, guys, I am sorry for my rant. I hope you guys all enjoyed or tolerated my rants. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about this list, what you think about my opinions, what videos you'd like to see from me in the future. I will be uploading the meta report from last week, even though it's going to be old format now, quote unquote, but I still want to get it out there just because I want to show you how bad it was and is probably still going to be. But yep. Anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in the video. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.